Hello and welcome to another Bronte video. Thank you for coming. I'm a bit full of cold, so bear with me. We might have to drink plenty of tea through this video to, keep me going. But anyway, today I want to talk about trees. Bit bizarre. But the Bronte Parsonage in Haworth is a site rich in history, literature and of course natural beauty. Today I'm going to explore a lesser known aspect of this iconic location. The trees that stand as silent witnesses to centuries of life, death and transformation. Who would have thought I would be sitting here talking about trees? Anyway, among these trees, one special example holds a deep connection to Charlotte Brontë, planted in memory of a personal milestone in her life. But we're going to get to that in a bit. I want to look at what the graveyard was like in the Brontes' time. Why were there trees planted there and how have they shaped the landscape over the years? So let's dive into this leafy tale. You see what I did there? In the mid-1800s, the graveyard by the parsonage was far from this peaceful place that we see today. It was overcrowded with those flat stones, the ones that are flat, trapping decomposing gases, and of course poor drainage leading to health concern. Benjamin Herschel Babbage, what a great name, was an engineer and son of the famous Charles Babbage. He conducted a survey in Haworth in 1850 that highlighted the poor sanitation and living conditions in the village. His report painted a grim picture, citing the graveyard as a public health hazard due to stagnant water and inadequate drainage. The situation was further complicated by the fact that the water from the moors filtered through the graveyard and into Main Street, where it was used for drinking water by the villagers. This contamination led to concerns about disease, especially since the graveyard's poor drainage exacerbated the issue. As I've walked through the graveyard and this historic site so many times, I find it really hard to imagine the graveyard as a source of such danger. But during the Brontes' time, it was a very different place. In the late 1850s, the overcrowding and the unsanitary state of the graveyard led to the decision to improve the grounds. Following Babbage's recommendations, several efforts were made to address this drainage issue and to try and sort of beautify the site. Trees were planted, but not only for their aesthetic value, but also to help improve the health of the area. These efforts marked a significant shift in the way graveyards were designed, moving towards this more scenic and peaceful atmosphere, in contrast to this grim burial ground almost of the past. Babbage suggested a bold, natural solution, introducing grass, shrubs and better drainage to the graveyard. Though he didn't specifically recommend trees, the Victorians understood that vegetation could improve air quality and aid drainage. Over time, the trees were planted, transforming the graveyard into a peaceful, shaded space where we see today. These trees didn't just change the look of the graveyard, they served practical purposes too. Their roots absorbed excess water, reducing the risk of flooding and helping to reduce contamination risks. This gradual improvement was part of a larger effort to address the serious health concerns that had plagued the area, particularly the stagnant water and overcrowded graves. The trees played a crucial role in improving the overall environment, creating this healthier space, not just for the Brontes, but for the entire village. By sort of the early 20th century, the graveyard had transformed from a hazard site that you wouldn't want to go to unless you really had to this more tranquil and sort of calming location, a marked contrast to the conditions of the mid-1800s. While the trees have transformed the graveyard into a peaceful and protected space, they haven't been without their challenges. Severe weathers have occasionally caused trees to fall, threatening the parsonage, the church, and even the gravestones. These storms remind us of the delicate balance between preserving history and managing nature. A poignant example is the fate of the cypress pines planted by Charlotte Brontë and her husband Arthur Bell Nicholls in 1854 to commemorate their wedding. Charlotte, who wrote Jane Eyre at the parsonage, planted the trees in the year before her untimely death. Unfortunately, one of these trees was felled in 2008 due to disease, but the remaining tree stands as a vital link to the past, continuing to connect visitors to the Bronte family and their legacy. This incident underscores the constant risk posed by nature's force. While these trees have stood over, a century, they remain vulnerable to the elements, and their fall can cause significant damage to the surrounding historic buildings. A storm in 2008 was a stark reminder of the challenges faced in preserving both the natural and built heritage of this iconic site. Right, I'm going to put my tea down, I think. The advantage of holding my cup of tea, it stops me from waving my hands around too much. So, every cloud and all that. Today, the graveyard is home to a variety of tree species, including yews, sycamores and pines. Yews are often associated with graveyards, and they're steeped in symbolism. Their evergreen nature has long made them symbols of immortality and rebirth. Historically, yews are planted in graveyards for practical as well as symbolic reasons. Their dense foliage? Their dense foliage and slow growth make them ideal for withstanding any harsh conditions, while their roots help stabilise the soil, preventing erosion. Yew trees also play a role in Victorian shift towards viewing cemeteries as a place of solace and reflection, rather than just a place for the dead. Sycamores, with their large spreading canopy, populate the area, offering shade and contributing to the overall aesthetic of the space. These fast-growing trees were selected not just for their beauty, but also for their ability to improve drainage and, of course, reduce the excess water, helping to reduce the graveyard's notorious sanitation issues. And then, of course, we've got Scotch pine, another common species in the graveyard. It brings a touch of rugged resistance to the landscape. So, as promised, I said I would show you my mug. It's not as embarrassing as last time, but it's still quite funny. This was bought for me by my husband. He knows how much I love my tea. And basically, the mug looks like a medicine bottle. I'll put a close-up picture so you can see. But on the side of the mug, it says, take prescription by mouth. Good plan. Take one sip at a time until course of medication has been completed, to be taken for calming effect. Expires when cold, refill when empty. I back that up. So yeah, it's quite a cool mug, isn't it? But at the moment with my cold, I am having so many cups of tea. It's unbelievable. But I'm a bit disappointed with this one. It's a little bit milky. I don't really like it this milky. I've got a bit heavy-handed, so I wouldn't normally have it this way. Let me know how you have your tea. What tea do you have? Do you do Earl Grey or chamomile or whatever? Do you have milk? Do you have lemon? Breakfast tea? Let me know. I'd love to know. And also, what part of the country? Oh my goodness, we could do like a whole survey. What tea do you have and where do you live in the world? So, yeah. I'm assuming hotter places might have iced tea. Not that I like iced tea. I do drink tea when it's chilly, when you should have finished it up, but you haven't got round to it. But I think that's just something that happens when you become a mum. The luxury of a hot cup of tea, it doesn't happen. But yeah, tell me about your tea habits. Also, I know I put it up every now and again and you've probably seen it, but I have a Ko-fi account, or Ko-fi, depends on how you pronounce it, which enables people, if they want to donate me the price of a cup of tea, they can. You go to the website and you connect to my Ko-fi account page. I put some information up here. And it allows you to buy me the cost of a cup of tea, because so many people have asked me in the past, but please don't feel you have to. For those who've been asking, it's there. Right, back to it. Amongst the many aspects of Charlotte Bronte's life that continue to capture our imagination is the story of a unique gift she left behind. 2 cypress pines planted in the parsonage garden. In 1854, Charlotte married Arthur Bell Nichols, her beloved and long-term admirer, and to commemorate their wedding, they planted 2 cypress pines together. Charlotte had written Jane Eyre just metres from where these trees were planted, and it was here, in the shadow of the parsonage, that she and Arthur made their life. Why cypress pines? Well, these trees, I think, were chosen for their strong, upright nature and their ability to withstand the harsh conditions, which we know Haworth gets a lot of. Historically, cypress pines have always carried the symbol of eternity, which to me makes them a sort of fitting choice to mark a union, and the trees now stand as that constant living memory of Charlotte and Arthur's love. Sadly, though, of course, Charlotte's life was short, and she passed away just a year after these trees were planted. But nevertheless, these trees have remained a silent tribute to their brief but meaningful marriage. Like I said before, one of the trees had to be removed in 2008 due to disease, but the surviving cypress stands to this day. It serves as sort of like a visual link to the past, and it connects us with the lives of the Bronte family and this intimate moment that they must have shared together. Though Charlotte never lived to see the trees mature, they've grown to symbolise her legacy, her work, and this enduring connection to Haworth. In Victorian times, trees held powerful symbolic and superstitious meanings, deeply influenced by how people interacted with them. I spent ages reading up about this, and I was absolutely fascinated. Some of these stories I'd never heard of before, and it just felt I had to share them with you because to me they help make more sense of where the Brontes got their stories from. So anyway, the yew tree, which we've already spoken about, can be seen in so many graveyards around the UK. But they were both admired and feared. Associated with immortality and rebirth, the yew was often planted in cemeteries as sort of like a guardian angel to the dead. Yet the connection to death made the wood from yew trees an absolute taboo in your home. Victorians believed that bringing a yew branch, or a bit of wood, indoors could invite misfortune or even death. Suspicions surrounding trees didn't just end with yews. No, there are so many more. For instance, elder trees, and they were thought to protect against lightning and evil spirits, while their wood was avoided for fear of angering the fairies said to live within. Hawthorn, for example, was associated with protection, but considered bad luck to cut down or bring inside, as it was tied to ancient myths about the Fae and the May Day celebrations. Oak and ash trees were also part of this web of superstition. Carrying a piece of oak or ash was thought to ward off witches or even protection from snakes, which I thought was really strange. Even cedar, which was often planted in graveyards, was believed to repel evil spirits, though transplanting such a tree or moving it to a new location was said to bring bad luck. I remember my nan had a big superstition about yew tree wood being brought into the house. No furniture made from yew tree, anything like that. But the other ones I'd never heard of, but I think it's more because, not that us modern day people laugh at the superstitions, because we all, the avoiding walking under a ladder still exists. But I think it's because the stories are just not being told. We don't hear them like we would have done in olden times. The Victorians inherited many of these tree-related beliefs from earlier folklore. Trees were seen as deeply symbolic, a source of protection, but also potential danger if their spiritual role was misunderstood. Tabby, lovely Tabby, the Bronte family's beloved servant, would have been a key figure in introducing the children to this mystical world of nature, particularly the trees that surrounded their home in Haworth. With her deep connections to the land and the knowledge of the old traditional ways, she would have shared with the Bronte children the folklore and the superstitions that had been passed down through generations. She would have told tales of fairies that danced under the moonlight and hid in the hollows of ancient trees, whispering secrets to those who listened closely. The children would have learned from her that certain trees were said to have magical properties, perhaps a rowan to protect against evil spirits or an oak that would grant strength and wisdom. Through Tabby's stories, the children would have come to see the landscape around them, not just as a setting for a play or for a book, but as this sort of place full of hidden wonders and ancient powers where nature and myths sort of intertwined. I think the Brontes drew deeply from the natural world around them to craft their stories and their poetry. Trees, wood and moorland landscapes aren't just backdrops in their work, they're central to their emotional and symbolic language. In many ways, the trees reflect the inner world of the Brontes themselves, rooted, resilient and shaped by the winds of fate. In Emily's poetry, trees often symbolise the transience of life and the beauty of nature's cycle. The Bronte sisters understood that nature could mirror the human condition and its strength, its fragility and its inevitability. Charlotte Bronte's Jane Eyre famously uses the image of this great chestnut tree at Thornfield Hall, split by lightning, as a reflection of Jane and Mr. Rochester's turbulent relationship. The storm in the damaged tree foreshadows the challenges that will fracture and ultimately transform their love. But as I looked, a livid, vivid spark leapt out of a cloud of which I was gazing, and there, a crack, a crash, and a close rattling peal. The great horse chestnut at the bottom of the orchard had been struck by lightning, its two halves being as black as cinder. Anne Bronte's work also echoes her sister's admiration for trees and their symbolism. In Agnes Grey, Anne likens growth and resilience to the endurance of trees, a reminder of nature's steadfastness amidst their challenges. The Brontes didn't just write about trees, they lived amongst them, finding inspiration in the woodlands and the hedgerows and the moors surrounding Haworth. Their natural elements enriched their imagination and became powerful metaphors in their writing, weaving together this sort of wild beauty of the Yorkshire landscape with the emotional depth of their stories. The trees of the Brontes' work remind us that nature has always been a source of strength, beauty and symbolism. Just as these trees endure, so does the literary legacy of the Brontes, rooted deeply in the natural world they loved so much. When I walk through the trees in Haworth Graveyard, it's clear that these trees are not merely silent witnesses to history. Even though, wouldn't it be great if you could sort of somehow tap in and hear its stories from over the years? I can imagine they've seen all sorts of things. The trees there are symbols of the Brontes family's enduring legacy, their grief, their resilience, and their deep connection to the natural world. These trees have withstood the test of time, much like the works of the Bronte sisters, continuing to inspire and provoke thought. And just as the Brontes left their mark on literature, I think these trees leave their mark on all who visit this hallowed ground. I know I say thank you every week for watching, but I just wanted to sort of highlight how much you've changed things for me. All your comments every week about your thoughts, your ideas, and of course your opinions are brilliant. And I love reading them, and I love the way that everyone chats with everyone else in the comment section, and I think that's great. So please do carry on. But also I feel we've got a really good little Bronte community going. We all talk amongst ourselves about questions, and I think it's brilliant. So thank you. You've all changed my life completely. I went from not knowing many people who were into the Brontes to having all you guys pop up every week. So thank you very much. Hello. Hi. Are you trying to help? Are you trying to help? You're being a distraction. That's what you are. A big furry distraction. You got anything to say? Look, what's this? What is it? Are you going to let me get on? Okay. Are you going to sit yourself down? Now I feel a bit like, maybe up a bit. We don't need to see all that, do we? That's fine. The symbol of immortality, the yew tree, which you see in every grave. What are you doing, dog? Don't throw up. Don't be sick on my floor. Ugh. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed exploring these fascinating stories and these secrets surrounding Haworth trees and their connection to the Brontes. Let me know in the comments below, what do you think of the idea that trees have superstition and symbolism? Have you seen it in the Brontes' work? Are there particular novels or poetry that you've read that you think, yeah, that's connected to maybe a story they've heard from Tabby or something like that? Let's have a chat about that, because that would be absolutely brilliant. I say it every week, and if I don't say it, I'm sure you'll point it out, but thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please do the whole likey, subscribey thing, because it really does help me out, and it lets YouTube know that we want to watch more Bronte content. Have a really good weekend, take care of yourselves, and I will see you all next week, hopefully without a cold, for more Bronte adventures. Alrighty, take care.